All right, we want to turn our attention to Decision 2024. All eyes have now moved on from New Hampshire to South Carolina, where Nikki Haley says she will continue her campaign. She did lose yesterday in the New Hampshire primary to Donald Trump. Of course, Joe Biden came away with the victory, too, last night, but that was part of a write-in campaign.
Yeah, and we've been up in New Hampshire all week covering the first-in-the-nation primary for you. We got team coverage for you this morning. Our Alicia Palumbo is in Merrimack for us, speaking with voters there. Alicia, we'll get to you in just a moment. But first, let's begin with our Jeff Saperstone, who's joining us from our studio in Manchester with more. Jeff?
Well, the New Hampshire primary is over, and former President Donald Trump is the winner here in the Granite State. But Nikki Haley says she vows to continue on and will compete in South Carolina's primary, which is 1 month from today. Also happens to be her home state.
Well, I have news for all of them. New Hampshire is first in the nation. It is not the last in the nation. This race is far from over. There are dozens of states left to go.
Haley told supporters that the race is far from over. She spoke in Concord last night, not long after the race was called. Haley won 43% of the vote, but it wasn't enough to catch former President Trump. Meantime, Trump is the first non-incumbent to win both Iowa and New Hampshire. No Republican has won both and failed to secure the party's nomination. The former president attacking Nikki Haley last night.
We have to do what's good for our party. And she was up, and I said, wow, she's doing like a speech like she won. She didn't win, she lost.
So what's next here? Nevada. The state will host its primary on February 6th, then party-run caucuses on the 8th. Kind of an unusual situation. But Haley is only on the ballot in the primary, and Trump is only on the ballot in the caucuses. The next big showdown between Trump and Haley, though, will be on February 24th in Haley's home state of South Carolina. 3 days later, it's the Michigan primary, then Super Tuesday on March 5th. If Haley is still in the race at that point, we'll have a better idea of how the general election will shape up against President Joe Biden. Speaking of Joe Biden, he was a write-in candidate in the Democratic primary here in New Hampshire yesterday. Kind of an unusual situation for the Democrats.
Tonight, Joe Biden has won the New Hampshire primary.
Biden wasn't on the ballot based on a national Democratic decision to make South Carolina the first in the nation primary next month, bypassing New Hampshire. But New Hampshire held its primary anyway yesterday without Biden on the ballot. So that led to this write-in campaign, and organizers say it was a success.
We had historic voter turnout in the Democratic primary today. We had almost twice as many voters today than the 2012 primary here, which just goes to show that New Hampshire overwhelmingly supports Joe Biden. And I'd like to say that there's a lot of young support for Joe Biden as well.
So Biden victorious here in the New Hampshire primary because of that write-in effort. And now that campaign says all eyes are on the general election in November. Meantime, on the Republican side, it's a two-person race still heading into South Carolina between Trump and Haley. We'll see what happens in the month ahead. For now, we're in Manchester. Jeff Saperstone, NBC 10 Boston.